I guess I better start this again. Um, okay. So, I don't know. Well, a couple of lesions I had. And so, they did an MRI, a bone scan, but it hadn't showed anything. So I persisted on, is something wrong? So in September, I had a lumbar MRI, which showed that I actually had cancerous tumors on my L1 vertebrae and on my L5, pushing against my S1, which protruded um, and caused it to press against my nerve roots. Also, the iliac bone had a tumor as well as cancer in the iliac bone. So I started radiations. I did 10 rounds. And as of this Monday, today is the 17th. So it was Monday the 14th, was supposed to be my last round. But I was constantly complaining about other areas being achy. So they did another MRI of my thoracic spine. Turns out that I have a cancerous tumor from the thoracic, from the L5, extending to the L6. I mean, to the thoracic, from the T5 to the T6. Sorry. Um, Also lesions in the fifth rib, also on the right side of the T5, and also towards the sternum. So yesterday, which was the 16th of October 2019, I started radiation again for this particular group of tumors. This time they made a mold of my spine, like a cradle, for me to fit in order to get radiation. The first time I didn't have that. As I said, this is my first time experiencing since I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma in 2007, even though I know I had it since 2012. But to get a final diagnosis of what I had took a couple years. So actually living with this myeloma, I've went through stem cell transplants. I've had a plasma transplant. I've had several different forms of chemotherapy. And what I've learned over the years, that I have what they call progressive myeloma. So no matter what they put me on, it works only for a short time, and then it don't work anymore. So that means when it's out of what I would consider like a holding stage, because it's really no remission for this particular disease, then the cancer progresses and it done does different things. This particular time, it attacked my spinal cord, my spine, but thanks to God, I didn't reach my spinal cord, which I would really be in some trouble if it had reached my spinal cord. So anyway, I started like I said, the second sessions of chemo yesterday, and I did the first rounds. And what happened with this now, I'm really achy. The upper, I guess this would be my esophagus, is really um, being affected. Um, So I don't know. It's really achy. I'm bringing up mucus, and from the other, the lower, from the lumbar that they gave me, starting right above the navel, it gave me loose stool, um, loss of appetite. I really haven't really eaten a lot. Since I've been on radiation, I've lost between, depending on the scale, anywhere from, I would say, 9 to 12 pounds. It depends on the scale. I would say most of it's been steroid weight, because um, the last year prior, starting October, I took a new drug called, we call it Durham for short, but it's Dermatuma. And you have to take steroids as a pre-med. That's like 100 milligrams of steroid as a pre-med. And it depends on your effect. And since it made me itch, they would give me Benadryl. They would give me a anti-acid pill like a Xantax or something, a nausea pill. And then after the chemo, I would take 20 milligrams of steroids for 2 days. So would say 140 milligrams a week, which gave me what you call steroid induced diabetes. So I dealt with that, and the diabetes, when it came on, it was extremely high. We're talking 600 and something. And over the 16 weeks that I was taking the Durham every week, because the program is like you take it every week for 16 weeks, then you take it every other week for 16 weeks, then you take it every 4 weeks until the Durham doesn't work anymore. Well, the last treatment was in August. I was supposed to take it in September, but since I found the tumors, they immediately started me on radiation. So anyway, the diabetes was a sort of a problem in the first 16 weeks. I took insulin, a couple different type of insulin every day because it was so high. But when I got onto the every other week and learned how to eat properly as a diabetic, the things to eliminate out of my diet and stuff, and I put in um, little bitty limes and little bitty lemons. I would make a 32-ounce pitcher full. I would either use 2 lemons and 1 lime, or 2 limes and 1 lemon, or 3 limes or 3 lemons. And I would drink that every day, a couple times a day, and sometimes even 3 times a day. And that seems to balance out the diabetes where I didn't suffer with it anymore. But because I got myself into a certain way of eating, taking mostly all the carbohydrates out of my diet, it seemed to work really well for me. I took a lot of the things that I done. I love fruit smoothies, but I had to eliminate that out of my diet. I never really was a rice eater, so that was no problem. And pasta, I like pasta, but I had to eliminate the pasta. You have to really monitor the way you eat bread. Also, things like millet, couscous, all of that is carbohydrates. And I like beans, but that's a carbohydrate also. So, those are the things you have to learn to monitor and stuff. And as well as things, I love fruit, so I really have to learn to monitor my fruit. I love not necessarily sweets, but I like, a good piece of cheesecake every now and then. That's out. I like a good couple cookies every now and then. That's out. I love potato chips, but that's something you have to eat very sparingly with diabetes. But let's get back to multiple myeloma. When it gets into your bones, it's really painful, especially in the spine. Also, I have what you call worsening salt and pepper in the marrow, which they say the salt is the strong and the pepper is the weak. So that's myeloma running through my bones and marrow. That's really active, and it's getting worse, and it's in my spine, it's in my rib cage, it's in my clavicle, and it's in my sternum, according to the test. What that means for me in the long run, I don't know if this is going to cause more tumors, or it's going to relate to the cancer really becoming really worse, and that'll lead to me becoming paralyzed or crippled, or even leading to my death eventually. Right now, there's really no cure for multiple myeloma. So if they don't find a cure, I would imagine that the multiple myeloma would be the cause of my demise or passing away. But um, for now, the main thing is learning to deal with pain without becoming addicted to opioids. They gave me in the hospital some oxycontin. I scratched the blood out of my skin, so I actually flushed them down the toilet. I wouldn't give that to anybody. Um, they said there's things, and I tried like I said, the epidural steroids in my spine, but it spikes my diabetes. So, and plus it didn't do anything. So I don't think I want to do that anymore. Get shots of steroids that'll interfere with my blood sugar. So personally, guys, I just try to relax. Every now and then I'll take what you call a flex raw. It's a muscle relaxer. And the way my system is, it knocks me out. And even though I'm in pain or whatever, it just knocks me out totally. It put me to sleep. So I don't know if I'm in pain or not. But I just wanted to catch you up. Some people, as my doctor, Dr. Melissa Ranji Morris, told me Tuesday, that some people myeloma start in the bones really bad. I have an acquaintance that's really a friend of my sister, who hers actually started with tumors in her spine, and to date, speaking to her, she have had 3 different rounds of radiation, excuse me, for her myeloma, and she's had it a much shorter time than I have, and it's progressing with her much faster than mine. Um, I have a really good doctor, and I pretty much trust her, and she trusts me. If I insist that something's bothering me, she usually will look into it. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not wrong. And usually, uh, I know my body. It might take them a while to find it. Maybe I feel it coming on before it's visible to them or their machines, because I'm in tune with my body. Guys, and whoever listens to this and have multiple myeloma, or a family member that have multiple myeloma is no joke. Stem cells plays a very big part of multiple myeloma. Green tea kills stem cells. So if you have multiple myeloma, don't be an advocate of green tea. I would stay away from the green tea. It's really, really not good. A few other things that I would tell you if you have multiple myeloma: don't stress out, you know. Also, stay away from bacteria and things like that. If you have any type of cancer, I would say stay away from that. In other words, don't drink anything that come out of those machines. They don't get them clean enough. Don't eat off of buffets. No telling what kind of germs it is. If you cook something and you don't eat it within 2 hours, put it in the refrigerator. If you don't think you're going to eat it within 24 hours, put it in the freezer, because bacteria is harmful for our immune system. A lot of times when you have diseases like this, it compromises your T cells, your blood count, your immune, which is and also your neutrophils, which helps fight infection and keep your hemoglobins. What helps that is beets. Try not to eat a lot of things that's high in calcium, because calcium, is not good, because when the bones get lesions, it break down into the bloodstream and turn into calcium. So high calcium is not good for people who have multiple myeloma. As I say, this little thing I would call Living with Multiple Myeloma, Part 2A. I'll let you know how the radiation doing afterwards. From what I understand, after you finish radiation, sometimes it takes 3 to 4 weeks for the radiation to complete its cycle, and you take the test to see did it get all the tumor. So I guess we'll find out about the first set, and then, like I said, I just did my first round yesterday, and today I'll do my second round on the thoracic. All right, peace out, and I hope you learned something.